To my video on ratios and unit rates. So remember, a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. So for example, you can write ratios in three different ways. So we can write it as 3 out of 4, or 3 to 4, like if we were shooting free throws, we made 3 out of 4, or a 3 to 4 ratio. We could also use a colon, so 3 colon 4, or you could write it as a fraction, 3/4, or 3 over 4. Okay, simplifying ratios. Do not write as mixed numbers. Okay, this has no meaning as a ratio. So if you get an improper fraction like 5 over 4, we just leave it as that. We don't change it to 1 1/4. Okay, so an equivalent ratio is two ratios that have the same value. So I have an example here. And if you want to see if these are equivalent, remember we can use what's called a cross product check. So we could do 2 times 25, and we're going to write that over the 2 here. 2 times 25 is 50, and 10 times 5 is 50. So we're going to write that over the 10, and you notice that these are equivalent. Now, some of you are probably thinking, oh, look at 2/5. If I multiply the top by 5, I get 10, and if I multiply the bottom by 5, I get 25. So as long as I do the same thing to the top and the bottom, I will create an equivalent ratio. Okay, let's keep moving down to the bottom. So our next word is rate. And a rate is a ratio of two quantities measured in different units. Like if we were to compare the miles to the amount of hours that we drove, we call that miles per hour. Okay, a unit rate is a special type of ratio in which the number of units of the first quantity of a ratio is compared to 1 unit of the second quantity. In other words, a unit rate is how much for 1. And I was using miles and hours as my comparison for different units. And I can use that for a unit rate, miles per hour. Okay, if you want to know how many miles per hour you're going, you can take the miles divided by the hours, and that will tell you how much you're going for every 1 hour. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. So unit rates, when you see the word per, it generally means for each one when utilizing the word in math. So when calculating unit rates, per means to divide. For example, if I drove 120 miles and used 5 gallons of gas, how many miles per gallon did I get? So the miles per gallon means miles divided by what? Good, gallons. And so now I'm going to set up that ratio. Since I want to know miles per gallon, I'm going to take 120 miles, since that appeared first, because this is miles per gallon. So that means divide the miles by 5 gallons. And I'm going to abbreviate gallons and just write GAL. And 120 divided by 5 is 24 miles. And generally, you'll see it represented like this. This means miles per gallon with that little slash there. Okay? So let's look at some more examples here. Zach earned $144 in 8 hours. How much did Zach make? So how much did Zach make per hour? So if we want to know how much he makes per hour, we're going to take the money divided by the hours. So we're going to write $144 divided by 8 hours. And I'm using the abbreviation for hours. And 144 divided by 8 is 18. So I'm going to write $18 per hour. Or I could just write 18/hours. Okay? So both ways would be acceptable. All right, number 2. Emily bought 3 video games for $121.50. All 3 video games were the same price, so that's important. How much did each video game cost? So I want to know the cost per video games because I want to know the cost of each one. So since I want to know the cost of each one, we're going to take the cost, which is $121.50, and we're going to divide that by 3 video games. And $121.50 divided by 3 is 40.5. Now, since we're trying to find the cost, because it says how much, we are not going to write 40.5. We're actually going to drop a 0 in. So when there's only one number after the decimal and we're talking about money, we have to drop in a 0 so that we can represent that as change. So this is $40.50 per game, or I could just do /game. Okay, number 3. You host a party for 12 friends. The food and drinks for the party cost $66. Now look what it says. What is the cost per person? So that means we're going to take the cost divided by the persons. And I know the cost didn't come first. The friends came first. But that doesn't matter. Look what this says. Cost per person. So I'm going to take 66 divided by 12 friends, or I could say 12 people since it's talking about the cost per person. So 66 divided by 12 is $5.50. It actually says 5.5, but remember, since it's money, I'm going to drop a 0. So $5.50 per person. Okay, or I could have, instead of writing the word per, I could have did /person. Okay, our last and final problem. Jordan ran 5,280 feet, so that's actually 1 mile, in 4 minutes. That's pretty fast. How many feet did he run per second? So look at this. Do I know how many seconds he ran? No, I know he ran 4 minutes. So we have to change 4 minutes into seconds. So here's my hint. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So if there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, then I can take 60 times 4 to figure out how many seconds are in 4 minutes. So 60 times 4 is 240. And let's add an S here. 240 seconds. So 4 minutes is 240 seconds. And since I want to know feet per second, we're going to take 5,280 feet. And we're going to divide it by 240 seconds. And we're going to get 22. And my label is going to be feet per second. So instead of writing per here, I use that /. So this concludes our video on ratio and unit rates. I hope you have a wonderful day.